Pop in, say hi. If you've never come into one of my lives before, hi, I'm Cindy. I explore the inside and the outside, and this is my Sunday night show. This is my casual, just trying to keep it light. I say that trying, but sometimes, right? Life takes hold of us and send us off into little adventures, and then we come back in, and being that person that I am, I do love to share my experiences. And sometimes it's just in the light things that we get the best insight. Sometimes in those everyday, day to day is when we get those best ideas. Sometimes, in putting that energy in and making that movement, little things fall into our laps, right? That make our lives better. And not to disregard the fact sometimes we can make things worse. And I think we've stepped in that doo-doo every once in a while, each one of us, to tell you the truth, right? And that is an honest truth. And anybody who says that their life is absolutely perfect, right? I would have to take a little bit of stall in that to kind of contemplate as to why somebody would think that way. Hello, Owen. In here first again. Let me get rid of my notifications out and see who's popping in. Tammy's here. Oh, William's here tonight. Hello, William. I haven't seen you for a little bit, but I appreciate when you pop in and hang out with us for a little bit. That's amazing. I hope everybody has had an amazing week. If not amazing, I hope productive. I feel I have been through, I'm not going to say I've been put through the spinner. I have actually really enjoyed my week because I've had lots of little projects, lots of little things that I've had to get done. Plus, I've been able to take care of some of those luxuries that come along, right? Optimistically more often moving forward. But sometimes we find ourselves in those situations where you look in your cupboards and you go, oh my goodness, right? My favorite thing. What was that? Fruit juices. Oh my goodness. I stocked up on fruit juices this week. I go through these phases where I really want fruit. I've had oranges. I got peaches. I got grapes. Oh my goodness. My grapes were absolutely just huge. And I love grapes. And I am grateful actually to be able to afford them right now. Going into the grocery store, it's kind of frightening to look at the prices of things. But at the same time, it felt really good to go into the grocery store and not really look at the prices. Just say, oh, I'd like to have that. And I think I'd like to have that. And I did that. I stocked my freezer up with all kinds of amazing meats. And meat is something that I enjoy it, not as much as I enjoy the carbs. But I do enjoy meat. And I have been using the excuse that meat is so expensive now that I haven't been really spending much money on that, except for maybe in eggs. I eat lots of eggs. I like eggs, and surprisingly, because if you look at an egg, it's kind of like, oh, it's an egg, right? It's the beginning of life. Like, who would enjoy that? And it makes me think, people who live in the Orient who eat snake and they eat raw fish. I don't know who out there likes sushi. I'm not a big sushi fan. And I could see that my computer's running a little bit slow just for the fact that my voice is not matching my talking right now. We'll see if it clears up a little bit. How's it going for you guys in the reception here tonight? If you could just let me know if the sound is okay and the speaking's okay. Seems like it's okay now. No, it's still kind of messed up, but that's okay. Okay, as long as there's not a great deal of mess up in the sound or in the video, I'm good. I'm good with that. Things happen for a reason. I'll ride with it. I'd just be happy if everything is perfect. That makes me happy. I'm just looking at myself on the screen and just noticing that my lips and my voice aren't matching what's coming up on the screen. But that's okay. That's okay as long as it's good for you guys. But what was I saying? Yeah, like you look at how people eat around the world, and it's not always to our taste, is it? I was actually, when I was in the grocery store tonight, the gentleman in front of me had 5 packages of chicken gizzards. Now, I'm not quite sure what chicken gizzards are. To me, they look like little hearts. Correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody out there's got to know what gizzards are. The meat package, I looked at the price on. I wasn't being snoopy, but I guess I kind of was. But I looked at the price and I said, "Oh my goodness, $3.50 for a big package of." And I looked and went, "Gizzards?" I wasn't quite sure what gizzards were, but to me they look like little hearts. And I went, "Oh my goodness." I says, "I couldn't eat that. Not even if it was free could I eat that. I wouldn't even know how to prepare gizzards. I don't even know if it would be a tough meat or I think it said chicken gizzards because it came to my mind right away, chicken gizzards, but I don't know what part of the body chicken gizzards are. Does anybody out there eat chicken gizzards? Everything's good now. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Tammy. Thanks for letting me know. Excellent. Yeah, does anybody eat chicken gizzards out there? I don't think in my entire life I've ever had chicken gizzards. I'm not sure, to be honest, if I could even try them, right? They didn't look very appetizing to me, but in saying, people from different cultures, I don't know even if it's a cultural thing, chicken gizzards, right? If it's sitting in the meat section, lots of people must eat them. My mother never bought them at the grocery store. They were never served at the dinner table. So maybe they're just not part of my family, something that I carried on. But looking at them, I said, I don't know if I could even try those. And I like to experiment in eating new things. I happened on to eating something new that I had never tried before. Cindy, you are right. Chicken gizzards is part of the chicken digestive organ. My ex-husband liked them. I had to prepare them a few times. I don't like them. So yeah, I see they didn't look very appetizing. They didn't look appetizing to me. But again, when I was a kid, I don't eat liver now. You couldn't pay me to eat liver. I can make the most amazing grilled onions and liver meal ever. And people used to rave about my liver, how I make it so perfectly. But to be honest, I have not eaten liver since I was a little kid. I did eat liver as a kid, but my mother was really, really sneaky about how she prepared liver. As a kid, we called them flat burgers. She would buy liver, she would put it in a blender with salt and pepper and a tablespoon of flour and an onion, and she would blend it up and she would pour them into the frying pans like hamburgers. And I thought they were hamburgers, right? I didn't know any better. And when mom would say, we go like, "What are we having for dinner?" And she'd go, "We're having flat burgers. And she'd say it with such enthusiasm, right? And I should have wondered whether or not she was eating them, because I'm sure she wasn't eating them. That was something that she prepared for the kids because it was something inexpensive. But we loved flat burgers. Now, when I got to be a teenager and discovered what flat burgers truly were, that was the end of liver. I never ate liver after that again. I was just like, oh, right? And it's funny, like we ate well because my dad was a meat and potato man. Like he didn't like to be served things like craft dinner, or he didn't like the rice meals that we had to go on those when he had a bad gambling month or something, where we had to eat rice every single day for the month until they could catch up onto their bills. But for himself, he always ate really well. He was a meat and potatoes guy. When the money was there, we all ate meat and potatoes. But then again, in those days, it wasn't as expensive as it is now. I looked at little roasts like this, no bigger than that, and that's the honest truth. And they were like $40 for a little roast. And I went, oh my goodness, people work 4 hours to get a roast for one meal, and not even a filling meal. I guess you could make it filling. You wouldn't get a lot of meat, but you could buy lots of potatoes and serve people lots of potatoes and lots of vegetables and stuff. Those are still fairly inexpensive. But yeah, the roast, oh my goodness, with Easter coming up, makes me kind of afraid of how much the turkeys are going to cost this year. But when we were talking a little bit about seasons in the past week. It is kind of the season that we're living in with what's going on in the world, that right, we're going to have to budget a little bit. We're going to have to watch do a little bit of penny pinching, and you have to be kind of grateful for some of those experiences that you had as a kid, because lots of times, especially in the middle class, right? They didn't really have to worry if it was grocery day. They would just go to the grocery store, and they would just buy that with what they needed and not look at the receipt or look at the price on the shelf of the items. But now they're going to notice the difference when they get to the till and they go, oh, this grocery shop used to cost me 300. Why is it costing me $600 or $700 now to do the exact same shop as I did 6 months ago or a year ago? And they try to put the prices up like gradually, but we have to think, like, there have been things going on in the world, like the tariffs did such a huge job on all kinds of groceries on the shelves. But it makes me wonder, because the low incomes have always had to budget shop. They've always, I grew up on wieners and Kraft dinner and white rice. And mom would make homemade bread, and she would make cakes and things like that for dessert. We never ever went hungry. There was never a time when there wasn't a meal on the table. But when you grow up that way, it makes you kind of standoffish when it comes to eating things that you're not familiar with. For myself, I gave up meat. Well, I've always been a picky eater when it's come to meat. It's basically sausages, and I ate wieners. That when they would order out dinner, they go, "What are we going to order out today?" And everybody would go, "Kentucky Fried Chicken." And that was my least favorite meal because I couldn't eat the chicken, right? Because I didn't like the veins and stuff in the chickens. And so I would just take a bite of the or peel off the skin off of it or something, the crunchy part, and then I would just leave the rest. And they used to just hate me eating like that because it was wasteful. In the end, somebody they knew I wasn't touching the meat, so it would be like a regular piece of Kentucky Fried Chicken, just with the skin missing, right? But I've always been picky when it comes to meat. My parents didn't make a big deal out of it because it meant that there was more meat for everybody else. But it contributed to me enjoying carbohydrates. And it's something that I have worked on, and I've had success at bringing my weight down, but it's not because I limit the amount of carbohydrates I eat. It's I eliminate items completely because I'm just kind of crazy when it comes to my desire for them, right? So loaf bread, I've kind of forbidden myself again. I was eating bread for a while, but now we're not eating bread again. I gave up the Bisquick, and that was a hard one because I really love Bisquick. It's a biscuit mix. It's like a pancake. You can make pancakes and waffles with it and stuff, but I usually buy it to make biscuits or scones, right? Because you can throw fruit in them and put them on a pan. Really quick to eat, and they're really good when you're having that fit to have the carbohydrates. And that's what would happen to me is I would have these, oh my goodness, I need carbohydrates or I'm going to go crazy, right? And we all have those things that drive us nuts that we really super crave. But yeah, I gave up the Bisquick again, and that's a hard one for me. And I'm trying to go cold turkey on all kinds of carbs, but I'm still doing potatoes. I'm still doing rice, and I'm allowing myself bagels and naan bread. So down to four things. But that's how I cut out the carbohydrates is I just say you can't have that anymore, right? And then I take breaks until I just can't take it anymore, and I end up having a sandwich or yeah, that's usually what I do. Surprisingly, giving up candy was a really easy one for me. And that was my biggest nemesis. They're not carbs, they're pure sugars, right? But I loved candy ever since I was a little kid. I loved candy. About 30 years ago, it's been a long time now. 30, maybe maybe 25 years ago, I gave up candy. Uh, I get tripped up sometimes at Christmas time, right? My sister makes homemade candy, like the coconut balls and the cow poops and stuff, and I just call it baking so that I can have it. Otherwise, really, in all actuality, it is candy. But I've had great success and also my sister, she trips me up by buying me quality street chocolates, which used to be my favorite chocolates. They still are, I guess, my favorite chocolates, but they gave up the shiny papers on them, right? To keep the cost of the candy tin down. And they're really popular here in Canada, quality street chocolates. I don't know if anybody's heard them or had them before, but they used to have beautiful metal foils on them and then a clear cellophane. And they were so pretty in the tin. And we all in the family would get these tins for Christmas. And yeah, I had a hard time in giving up those because one of my favorite things my sister likes to do to me at Christmas is to buy me a tin of quality streets. And then I have 24 hours to eat the whole tin because then I have to cut myself off on at the end of Boxing Day from any of the Christmas treats. So if any Christmas treats that I have, they got to be gone by the evening of Boxing Day, and then I get strict with myself. But I've had great success in giving up candy. Like I can walk up and down the candy aisle and not even give it a thought, right? And I was really kind of crazy when it came to like those fruit jellies with the sugar on them. Love those, and the little jelly candies. I used to just love those. And I don't eat and licorice. All kinds of candy I loved, right? I didn't like hard candy. I wasn't a big fan of hard candy except cough drops. But yeah, and I gave up candy, and that helped me to maintain my weight by eliminating that. Peanut butter. Well, peanut butter I'll only buy if I have to get on a food budget because I can make a jar of peanut butter be breakfast, lunch, and dinner, bedtime snack, no problem. Um, but uh, but I have to cut back on the peanut butter for sure because it causes inflammation in my body. Number one, it's just too much because they mix it with the icing sugar, and I don't like natural peanut butter. It's just not the same as craft peanut butter, right? I always buy the light peanut butter, but I do love peanut butter, but I cut it out, right? There are lots of things that I cut out when it comes to eating, but that's only because and things like ice cream. I go on like in the summertime when I go, okay, no ice cream, no ice cream, and then I break down and I have ice cream, and then for the next month I'm eating ice cream like 2 or 3 times a week, right? If I could afford to. And it's really, really bad. It's not good for me. I'm a little bit lactose intolerant to start with. So I give it up. And I don't miss it as long as it doesn't come back into the household in any way, right? And it served me really well to maintain my weight. I don't lose any weight when I don't eat those things, but I don't gain any weight. It makes me think how much I would actually weigh if I didn't eliminate those things that I love very much. I don't eliminate them because I don't love them. I eliminate them because I know that they don't do my body very, very well. There was something too that I eliminated just recently. Right, the wieners. I got food poisoning. It's been about, oh my goodness, it's got to have been about a year now. About a year ago, I had 3 days or 2 days that I couldn't even get out of bed and like literally couldn't get out of the bed. And I would just lean over my bed and it was just awful. It was just the worst experience ever. And then I didn't know what was wrong. I didn't know whether to go to the hospital, what was going on. It was really scary. But the only thing I could think of that I had eaten was wieners. And I thought, oh my goodness, I got food poisoning from wieners because my sister said it sounded like I had food poisoning. I haven't had wieners in over a year. And I don't even think I took wieners on my camping trip last year. I got to think about that right now. I'm sure as a special treat, if I did have wieners, it would have been like the sausage kind of wieners. I wouldn't have had like regular wieners or anything. But yeah, I got food poisoning and I haven't had wieners. And I've been on wieners since I was a little kid. I have loved hot dogs and wieners, but it helped me too to stay off the hot dog buns. So that helped me out lots too. For myself in keeping the weight off, it's still basically tricks that I'm doing, right? They're little cheats and stuff. I mean, it works. It's in that adapt and conquer that I'm getting it done. But I have introduced some new things into my life. It's not like, I just stick with the same stuff. I tried pot stickers a few months back and I fell in love with pot stickers. I'd never had pot stickers before. They're like pierogies, but they have chicken and vegetables inside them in a very light dough kind of pocket. And they're I'm not sure if they're Chinese or Japanese, but I'd never tried them before. I treated them like they were a pierogi. I boiled them and then I fried them up and stuff. And oh my goodness, they were absolutely just delicious, right? I don't know why I'm talking about food. I'm not hungry. I ate well. I ate well today. I made myself a homemade pizza for lunch and dinner that was really actually quite good. Oh, and I gave up shredded tree. I forgot. I gave up cheese, cheddar cheese. I only gave it up for a couple of weeks now, but it's because, right, that cheese kind of blocks you up, and I wanted to make myself more regular, and I recognize that I've lost a little bit of weight. I feel a little bit better not eating the cheese. The system's working a little bit better. And also, I'm switching up my vitamins and minerals and stuff. So that's working out really well for me too, right? I'm on the probiotics. I'm on my dailies. I got a fresh one. I like the well, I guess you could call these candies, right? I don't forget my multivitamins because it's my candy, right? They're like little gummies that you eat, but they're vitamins. And for myself, I credit my good health to the fact that, right, that maybe I do eat too many carbs. Maybe, I could introduce more meat into my life. And I just kind of did. I filled up my freezer, but it's only in that little bit of concern about what's going on in the world, right? That, like I tell everybody, you got to keep your gas tank topped off because the gas is just going to go right through the roof. And it's getting high already, but it's going to get even worse. It's going to probably be double what it is right now in just probably a few weeks. It's going to be bad. But it's the same thing with the groceries, right? I got a big bag of rice just in case, right? And it's not the fact that I'm thinking these things are going to happen, but it's the idea in being prepared, right? We talked a little bit about that last week about being a little bit prepared for the emergencies or for when you know that you're not going to have the funds, but at least you spend those funds now, and then you don't have to worry and stress about it if something goes awry. Now let me show you, you guys. Let me come into the comments for one moment here. Andrew says, speaking of hot dog buns, I had a coworker from Kentucky south of here. She said they would eat hot dog buns with peanut butter and maple syrup on them. Yuck. I can feel my arteries clogging. That's surprising. Is maple syrup popular in the States? I thought that was a Canadian thing. And then if you had maple syrup in the States, it's just kind of a little luxury to have. I didn't know that maple syrup was popular in the States. I love syrup, but I don't do pancakes anymore either, right? I just have to eliminate the things that I love. Sausages and pancakes is one of my top 3 meals in the whole world, right? Besides spaghetti and meatballs and turkey dinner, right? But I have been enjoying my little nan pizzas with feta cheese and tomatoes and stuff. I really have been enjoying those, and they're healthy. They're healthy for me. And at the same time, I can say I'm having my carbs because the little nan breads are like little pizza shells when they're put in the oven. But let me show you what I got, you guys. I am so excited. You guys, they don't have Kool-Aid in the packages anymore here in Canada. And my sister went today. She went to a liquidation. They for fun, they like to go to liquidation centers and buy things. And she knows that I'm really sad that the Kool-Aid crystals are off the shelves here in Canada. You can still get Kool-Aid, but it's not the same. They're in the little squirty bottles now full of sugar twin and stuff. And I never get that that right. I would just much rather open up a pack and put six sweeteners in and it's perfect, right? I don't have to worry about it. And I really missed the Kool-Aid and I was super excited that she brought these for me. She didn't bring me a lime one. The lime Kool-Aid is my favorite. This one's green. Oh, this one's a green package, but it's like strawberry kiwi. They're not like the regular Kool-Aids like you had when we were kids, right? There's no grape, like there's berry cherry, sharkaberry, which kind of looks like a fruit punch, strawberry kiwi, which is the green one, which I was all excited for because I thought it was lime. And then the pina colada one, which is like the pineapple coconut. That looks really good. And but I do have an orange one. That's going to be wonderful to have. I might open that one as the first one when I make myself a jug of Kool-Aid. But that was really nice, of my sister, to do that for me. I was super excited to see the Kool-Aid crystals. They should come back. The Kool-Aid crystals should come back on the shelves, right? I'm a big fan of Kool-Aid. I know Tammy said that she was willing to send me some Kool-Aid because they still make it in the States, but here in Canada, they're hard to come by now. They sometimes you can find them in the specialty shops, and you could like the candy stores where they bring in the old candy and stuff. You can find little displays with the old Kool-Aid in them, but it's expensive. They're like $1.50. Do you guys remember when these were 10 cents a package? When we were kids, they were like 10 cents. I only remember that because we used to have little Kool-Aid stands and stuff as kids, as little entrepreneurs that we were, right? To make some money. But yeah, so I was really nice of her to do that for me. Um, you're taking blood pressure tablets. So you're taking care of yourself now too, eh, William? Well, I hope so. That playing with your heart, right? Especially if you have hardening of the artery, like Andrew was talking about. He wasn't talking about him having hardening of the arteries, just the thought of the maple syrup, right? But my dad had hardening of the arteries. He took very, very good care of himself. I don't know why I say that because he smoked 2 packages of cigarettes a day. And that was a lot of cigarettes for somebody to smoke. But he did. But he ate well. He went for walks. He meditated. I considered that he took good care of himself, right? But if you really look at it, I guess that he didn't. His doctor told him not to quit smoking because it was going to be too stressful for him, that he would cause his own heart attack. So he tried to quit smoking. Oh my goodness. Every week he'd say, "Take my cigarettes, Cindy, and go hide them." Right? I'm going to quit smoking. And I would hide his cigarettes for him. Yeah, I remember that. But I guess he didn't take care of himself as well as he should have, but a lot longer than what the doctors had told him. Like the doctors only gave him a few years to live. And that was when he was still in his late teens. He never expected to get married and have kids and stuff. And yet my father lived to be 47 years old. And you guys could say, well, that's very young, right? Like that's still really young. And if you look at it in comparison to how long people live now, especially when they have these kind of illnesses, that he did really do well for himself. He doubled the lifespan of where he was expected to live to. So I would consider that, that he did really good on that. And on top of that, my sister, Tracy, had the exact same problem, right? Not only did she have my dad's problem of heart failure, she also had my mother's problem of oh no, my mother didn't have diabetes. My grandmother had diabetes. Actually, I think two of my sisters, my youngest sister has diabetes too. Yeah. And for sure, if I hadn't had that gastric bypass in my late 20s, I would have had diabetes too. And you know what? For sure, I don't think I would have made it because, like I was saying, how much I love carbohydrates. And even though those aren't sugars, they convert to sugars, right? And yeah, for sure, I would have been diabetic. But that operation that I had, it kind of bypassed the duodenum, which is the organ that processes sugar. And yeah, so I never got diabetes. It just made it impossible. They don't do that operation here in North America because it gives you malabsorption. It makes it. That's why I take so many vitamins and minerals. It's because I don't absorb vitamins and minerals very well. So I have to make sure that I take my vitamins and minerals every single day. And I'm grateful that I had the noodles to continue that because I had that operation. Oh my goodness, so long ago, over 30, 35 years ago, I had that operation, and it served me very well. I think in the end it probably saved my life having that operation. And I didn't search out to have that operation. I didn't search out to lose that weight, even though I tried every single diet myself and tried to take care of it myself. I didn't understand that there was an operation to lose that weight. I just had a really, really good family doctor who cared about me, and he, right? And I say he cared about me because it went against his grain to offer up procedures that the human mind could control. But he guess he figured out Cindy couldn't control the carbohydrates, so he suggested that he would send me to a specialist to see if I would be a good candidate for that operation. I know I got up to 311 pounds. I was a big, big girl, right? I wasn't always a big girl, but I always felt like I was a big girl. I always thought I was obese. I thought it was part of the reasons why I was, right, not treated well. And it didn't seem to be the case. When I look back on the pictures of myself, it was my self-consciousness, right? And the way that I treated myself that made it so that, yeah, Cindy, right? And I was my own worst enemy in that. But after I left high school, and because I had those insecurities, um I really delved in, and it didn't take me long. It took me maybe 5 years, and I packed on over 100 pounds, and I hit a 300 pounds at one point. And I'm very grateful that I had a doctor that cared about me, that suggested that I might be a good candidate. And I went through the whole. It was a lot of appointments and stuff, right? They want to make sure if they give you an operation like that, that it's something that you can emotionally and physically handle, and also be able to maintain afterwards. And so the doctor said, you can have the operation, but I want to see you lose 50 pounds first. And if you can take off 50 pounds, then we'll let you have the operation. And I was so excited, right? Because by that time I was doing some research and stuff, and the success rate was so high. And it was right at that age, I was like 26 years old, 27 years old. And by that time, all my friends are getting married and having babies. And I wanted that life for myself too, right? So it was kind of like a fairy tale come true for me. And I was very accountable to that. I'd walk miles and miles and miles to work, and I'd walk miles and miles and miles home every single day. I watched the food that I ate, never cheated. In about a year, I lost 160 pounds, right? 160 pounds. And it took about 10 years. I gained about 50 pounds of that back on, and I've maintained my weight and even lost a little bit more weight. I don't want to get any too much less than what I am right now. I'm really happy at the weight that I am now, and also at my age, right? You get those big weight losses. It's kind of a signal that your body is not working well, that there's something wrong. So if I could just maintain the weight that I'm at right now, I'd even be happy with that, right? But this idea of, not only did I cut off certain foods in my life in order to maintain my weight, I happened onto a new one, you guys, was that uh, cutoff time where I was allowed to eat. It's not a diet, but I cut off at 8 o'clock. I'm not allowed to eat anything after 8 o'clock at night. I sleep so much better, right? There's no acid reflux at night anymore, no indigestion. Sometimes I would even wake up in the morning and I would still feel like I had a full stomach. Well, of course, I'm going to have a full stomach because I was still eating at 10 o'clock at night, right? Even help my sleeping habits. I'm going to bed now, 11:30 at night, and I conk out with just within a couple of minutes. I am out. I wake up now in the middle of the night because I am going to bed early and because I don't need as much sleep as I used to. Um, but I'm still taking it in, right? But I'm up at 7 o'clock every morning. My alarm, I'm always up before the alarm is. And the alarm goes off and I get up and I make myself a cup of coffee and I start my day. We've been talking about food. What else can I talk? Oh, I had my eye exam, you guys. I got my glasses and I got a really great deal on my glasses. When I went to my optometrist, he gave me a coupon for 50% off my lenses, but there was a coupon in the booklet for buy one pair, get a second pair free. And so I went next door and I just thought because I'm getting into my contacts too, you guys, I got my contacts too. So that's pretty exciting. You guys won't even recognize me once I'm back in my contacts. I was so thrilled. He said I'll have to wear readers if I want to read with them. They'll only be for the farsightedness. But he says, just go to the thrift store, or not thrift store, go to the bargain store and just get a pair of cheap couple dollar readers and that will be good enough. And so I did that. So I'm all prepared with my readers, and right, they'll be wonderful for dress up day or when I'm online that I don't have, right, these laser eyes that I've got now. And so and the gentleman who took care of me, absolutely amazing service did I have at Pearl Vision, man. Right? I was going to do a review right then and there, but I thought I would wait until I get my glasses because then I could take a picture of the storefront for my Google Maps because they did such an amazing, amazing job. The gentleman there who helped me out, he was so great. And I was going to buy 2 pairs of glasses, but because my lenses are loan, just the lenses, not the frames, just the lenses are $700, right? So I thought, you know what? I'm going to use the lens coupon and get 50% off. So I saved almost $400 on my glasses because of this coupon that I had. And on top of that, I bought the insurance for my glasses because if I had the insurance for these ones, because these ones didn't even last a year, these glasses, right? So I thought, well, this year I'm going to buy insurance, and I'm going to take better care of my glasses. And of course, right, they're not Walmart glasses. I bought these ones, and the reflective coating peeled right off of them. I wasn't happy with the glasses, and you get what you pay for. But then I'm thinking about it. I paid less for my glasses at this Pearl Vision than I did at Walmart. So in the end, I didn't save in any money at all, right? I could have gone with a better quality glasses, but I thought because I'm going back into the contact lenses too, that I didn't need to have two pairs of glasses. These glasses here will be my spare glasses if anything goes wrong. And as long as I'm not online, I can wear these. I can wear these glasses as, my when I'm out in the bush and going for my walks and stuff. I can wear these. I can wear these glasses. Like physically they work perfectly fine, but it's just when I'm working online. Look at these things. It's just not crazy, right? We won't have that problem. I have to say, though, they had to specially order the lenses because they only do in stock of 6.5, and I wear an 8.5. And so they have to specially make my lenses for me for the glasses, but I don't care. I still got 50% off of them because they're my lenses, right? So I was super happy about that. And so, yeah, it just worked out really, really good for me. So, soon as I didn't check it off my goal list yet, I won't check it off until I physically have them in my hands, right? And so I was super excited to get that done. Got grocery shopping done, and I loaded up. I went grocery shopping twice, two big grocery shops, and filled up my cupboard, my freezer, my fridge. So I was happy that was all done. And then on top of that, you guys, I thought, oh, I spent so much money, right? I spent a lot of money. I spent, I think about $1,500 in a span of 24, 48 hours. I spent a lot of money. But yesterday, I decided to go for a walk, get some fresh air, and I walked over to another part of the city, over the bridge and stuff, to another part of the city, and I was going to say they took away the skating path on the river because people here in Winnipeg they skate to work and skate home on the river in the wintertime. But because we're getting close to spring, they shut it all down. They took all the heating shacks off the river and everything, and they haven't taken the Zamboni out on the path, so they're letting the snow and the blowing snow cover it up to make it impossible for people to fall through the ice. And so I walked over and I thought I would do another shop, right? Because one of my favorite grocery stores with really good deals is over there, and it was an excuse. I was going over there anyway. And so I stopped off at one of my favorite thrift stores, and I was looking for things to sell, and I was feeling a little bit guilty because right there were some beautiful tops in my size, like so beautiful, and they were brand new, but it was a thrift store pricing, right? They were like $8 each. So I bought a couple of blouses, and then I brought them home, and I washed them by hand, and thank goodness I washed them by hand because that they were brand new, and they would have destroyed all of my clothes because I bought a red blouse especially, and it was so dark, it was like wine, and I even after washing it like 3 times it was still bleeding, right? And then after I dried it and everything, it wasn't red anymore. It was just kind of like a dark pink because that's how much it bled. But anyway, I went to that thrift store, picked up those couple of blouses, and then I'm just kind of looking for things that I can sell online. And there was a bottle of perfume sitting there, and it was $4.99. And it didn't look fancy, right? The labeling didn't look fancy on it or anything, but I know the brand, Javinsky or something, Give. Vinchy. It's a very high end brand of perfume, but it wasn't a very big one. It was just a little bottle. And I says, well, for $4.99 or $5.99, whatever it was, I says, I'll use it myself if I can't sell it, if it's not worth anything. I took a quick look at the pricing and went, oh, but then it was for a larger size, right? That I was looking at the pricing. So I came home and I listed it. I paid, what did I say? $5.99 for it. And I sold it for $90. My phone blew up when I listed it. And I was kind of iffy about listing it for $90. I says, is it worth that much money? Because when I was looking at the pricing of it on eBay and stuff, and sure enough, my phone blew up. Everyone wanted my little bottle of perfume that I paid $5.99 for, and I got $90 for it. So it paid for all the shopping that I had done yesterday because I stopped off and got groceries. It paid for my couple of tops and the perfume bottle. So it was pure profit. So today I just ran to the store and got my potatoes, and then was it potatoes I got? It was something that I needed that was on sale that I had forgotten to pick up, but I was just looking for an excuse. I needed some fresh air. And so my sister said, oh, tomorrow. I told her, I says, tomorrow I'm going to go up to a different store, right? She goes, oh, I'll come with you then. I went, oh, great. So me and my sister tomorrow are probably going to go do a little bit of thrifting tomorrow and see if maybe I can score something else. I was so proud of myself that I did so good. I got a couple of really good items in the past month. I got my garden pot, my bonsai tree pot that I paid $6.99 for, and I listed it for $1,000. I haven't sold it yet, but I'm not in a rush to sell it. And I recently joined some bonsai tree groups. So when I'm ready to sell it, because that has to be for my trip in September, right? That will pay for my vehicle rental for sure. And that very least, I won't have to worry about the rental of the vehicle. And so I'm not really in a rush to sell it right now, because if I sell it right now, you never know if that money's going to get piddled away on something, right? But I joined some groups, and when I'm ready to get rid of the pot, then I'll just share it with the groups, right? It's a beautiful, beautiful garden pot that I got. I was super excited to list it for $1,000, and they sell for $1,200. So it's not like I just hiked up the price like that because I wanted to. That's what they actually sell for. It's some special glaze that they make by hand. They grind up rocks, and then they add chemicals, and they add natural dyes and stuff to this glaze, and then they fire it on these garden pots. It's a traditional way of glazing garden pots. And yeah, it's over 100 years old, so I was pretty excited to list that one. So I have found a few scores, and it makes me happy if, even if I don't sell it in the moment, I don't sell it right away. Like, I didn't think I would sell the perfume right away, but it turned out that bottle of perfume is a perfume that company had discontinued, and so everybody wanted it. And a lady phoned me last night, and she says, oh, I'll come by tomorrow. And then she messaged me tomorrow. She says, I'll be there at 4 o'clock. She didn't show up at 4 o'clock. So I just kept answering all these emails. And then I just said, message me at 4 o'clock if you still see the ad up. And I was just going in to send a message to everybody that, that the lady was a no-show. And somebody had already messaged me. She says, oh, did anybody come by for that perfume? And I said, no. She says, okay, I'll be right there. And I went, oh, that's so perfect. But it was kind of frustrating, when I held that perfume for 24 hours for this lady, right? And she said that, oh, I'll come tomorrow. But, she didn't even message me back or anything. So she hasn't messaged me since to say, "Oh, do you still have that perfume?" But I did write "sold" on the ad, but I was pretty excited. That was a good little profit. I'm a pretty good little reseller when it comes. Well, I know my goods. I guess I give credit to that little thrift store that I worked at for so many years that I became a little bit of an expert in that. Sure would be an awesome if I could turn it into like every day I am making $90 in just doing that, right? That would be absolutely amazing. Okay. I can I can see your new glasses. I'm not wearing my new glasses yet though. It'll be another, well, at least another week before I get my glasses. So probably not next Sunday, but the Sunday following I'll be wearing my new glasses. If I'm not wearing my new glasses, I'll be wearing my new contacts in my life. So you guys will think that's interesting because I look a lot different than when I'm wearing my glasses. When I'm wearing my glasses, my eyes look a lot bigger than what my eyes are naturally. I have little teeny weeny eyes, but because my lenses are so thick, they make my eyes look a lot bigger. Not like you can tell with my Morse code, my fly eyes, my laser lenses. But that's all coming to an end, you guys. And I know you guys don't care, right? Because it doesn't bother you. However I show up, I show up. I know that, right? But in my own little insecurities, and because it's part of me being accountable because I am working in social media, it will make it more professional if I did have the proper lenses. I've been looking at cameras too, to keep my eye open for a good camera at a good price. But even the old cameras look really good, and you have to research the ad on the camera because these cameras look brand new, right? Just because they say digital, it doesn't mean it's a good camera because they made digital cameras now 20 years ago, right? Digital cameras have been on the market for a very long time now. So yeah, I have to do the research on every ad that I see. I thought I had a perfect one yesterday. And the gentleman I see online, they sell for like $600, and the gentleman was selling them for 200, selling his camera for $250, and he had knocked the price down a couple of times because I saved it, the ad, when it was at 400. Now he's asking $250 for it. And I was considering it seriously. I was looking at YouTube videos and reviews on it and doing a little bit of research. And they say that even though it's an older camera, it's still a very good camera. And to me, looked like it did a very good camera. But when I was looking at the footage, I can't help it. I love my Google Pixel, right? I have been filming with my phone since the very beginning. I did have a camcorder that I worked with a while, but I worked with the camcorder in conjunction to my phone. And I would like to carry on in the tradition of, right, being a pixel girl. I don't know if you guys know who Eminem is. Eminem is a singer, and there was a song that he did called Venom, and they filmed the entire music video with the Google Pixel, and you can't tell the difference between the footage of a Google Pixel and a Paramount movie, and that's the truth. It they do, right. So any difficulties in my filming, it's a Cindy difficulty. It's a editing issue, right? It's not the issue of the camera, but I am getting better at it. And it's fast charging, right? You don't have to carry a lot of gear and batteries in the cameras. You don't charge them with a USB cord. Well, I guess now you can buy the cameras that you could charge with a USB, but you never used to be able to. Like if I were to buy a used camera, I would have to charge the batteries by plugging them into the charger, which would mean I would need an electrical outlet, which mean I would have to um, uh, stay in campsites that have electrical tagged onto them. They're not much more. They're maybe $10 or $15 more to rent those spots, but they're more popular, right? Because they have the the little privileges of having the electricity and stuff. So I like to be in the wilderness. You guys know me. I like to be in the bush. I like to be by the lake, beautiful landscapes and stuff. And the parks that I got picked for this year are just so beautiful. And now all I have to do is pick things up, right? And I've been doing that, getting all the little things that I need. The groceries will be the last thing, but all the things, like I bought a new cooler, I bought a new head toque, right? Because that was one thing that I missed, that I only brought one toque with me on my trip in September in the evenings, especially and on those rainy days. It is a little bit chillier. So I wish I had brought another toque, but I bought a toque and it actually had a headlight, a really good headlight on the toque. And I thought, oh, that would be absolutely amazing for when I'm walking around the campsite. Like if I had had that when my tent crashed on me, I might have stayed up all night because I wasn't tired. I only went to bed because it was dark outside, right? But if I had the headlight hat, I would have probably stayed and made makeshift some kind of shelter, right? Even if I was just using the tarps and stuff and just held it up by twigs or something, at least I would have been sheltered, but probably not sheltered very well. I mean, there was a wicked storm the night that my tent failed me, for sure. And it probably would have been an issue for me. I usually try and get the tent a little bit into the bushes and stuff, so they would have been covered by branches and stuff anyway. But my gear was all soaked, right? Yeah. Yeah. So that was interesting. But I have been buying things. I bought some more coffee mugs and some things that I need to replace in my camping gear. On my goal list, I have a new camp chair on there. If I don't get a new camp chair, not a big deal. I have two camp chairs. They work perfectly fine. But if I could get a luxury chair like my sister had that I used last year, that would be absolutely amazing. That camp chair of hers was really, really nice. I liked it. Um, well, I'm trying to get all my appointments done for the year so I don't have to go back. I just want to make sure everything is good. I'm going to need a pair of glasses um, as well. Uh, another pair. Yeah, now's the perfect time to take care of these details, right? We're going into spring and summer now, and it would be really nice if we can have all these appointments, all this little hassles of getting on top of things taken care of now, so that when summer does come, that we can enjoy it. I was talking to my second oldest sister, my sister Tracy, who's a year younger than me. I was talking to her this evening. It was the first time I talked to her in 2 weeks. I phoned her a week or two ago, and I messaged her. She didn't get back to me. She's been getting shots to relieve the pressure behind her eyes caused by her diabetes. So she's been doing appointments and stuff. And she got back to me today, and we had a nice little chit chat. And I told her, I says, I'm going to start swimming again in another week or so, right? As soon as it just gets warm enough that the freeze doesn't like break my hair when I come home out of the swimming pool and stuff. I'll still wear a toque and everything, but my hair will break. It's pretty brittle already. That it's still kind of cold outside to go for a swim, and then knowing me, I'm going to walk home. I'm not going to take a bus home. and I will walk home, and that will probably take me, oh, at least an hour, maybe an hour and a half to walk home at the pace that I do, my diddly dallying and stuff. And I don't want to ruin my hair, but I told her I'm going to start swimming again soon as it's warm enough. And it's only a couple of weeks away, you guys, that spring is going to be here, right? Even when I started my live show tonight, I says, oh, Cindy, you got to turn off the main light, and then you got to plug in this little spotlight here, right? So that the lighting is okay for your live show. But I have no idea why I remembered to do that, because it was still bright outside, right? With the time change and everything, that it was really bright outside. But I remembered in any case, right? I remembered in any case. But only a couple of weeks away, you guys. So yeah, take care of yourselves. I'm going to hype myself up on my vitamins. I'm going to try and do little walks every single day, which I have been doing, just getting out and about. And because I'm hauling groceries and stuff, so it's been like physically active, just not dilly-dallying, going for nice walks and watching so I don't slip on the ice and stuff. I'm actually hauling gear and the backpack stuffed full, and but I'm enjoying myself. I really am enjoying myself. Okay, let's come down here a little bit. You just want to make sure that you're in good health and everything as well. As you know, I'm 53 now, and I gotta watch what I eat. I say, enjoy life, William. And I'm not encouraging you to eat badly or anything. But yeah, if you feel like just maintaining your weight or losing a few pounds or eating better, stock your cupboards up with that good food, right? That healthy food. And even, if you're not looking to take care of your health, just that little bit of it's not foreshadowing, but a little bit of forward thinking of taking care of yourself, that your cupboards are full, that you are getting that extra package of toilet paper and paper towels and Kleenexes, that you have what you need, because the prices of these things they're going to go high. I can't imagine that it's not going to affect the cost of things, right? That everything is going to be very expensive, especially the gas, you guys. Gas is going to be a little bit crazy. Yeah, and I need things to cool down a little bit. When I say cool down a little bit, I mean everybody mellow out, things get back to a little bit of normalcy, because we don't need those gas prices to go to, right, $3 a liter. That's like that's $12 a gallon, and that's quite a possibility that could happen. Especially because we get our gas, right, from that part of the world, and it can't help but affect us. But if things mellow out, things get a little bit better, our relationships cool down a little bit, then, right, it's only going to take a few months, and then everybody's systems calm down a little bit. But the thing is, soon as one thing is calmed down, something else is stirring the pot to get our attention, to get us all wired up and worried. And it's why I try to stay out of that mess and stay in my own lane, right? In my own lane, so that I don't have to worry. Hello, Debbie dear. I hope you're doing well, Cindy. I do plan on walking a bit more this summer as well. I also think it makes your body and your mind to feel better too. Enjoy your lives and videos. Oh, is that ever nice of you, Debbie? Thank you so much. I appreciate that you say that. My live shows too. Do you come into What's My Good Cheer too? I always appreciate the people who come into What's My Good Cheer, because What's My Good Cheer is a little bit, right, it's deep. It's about making us emotionally strong, more emotionally dependent on ourselves rather than dependent on other people. And it's about making ourselves feel good, right? Feeling good in all kinds of ways, but most of all, right, making it so that we have value for ourselves. Because lots of us, we don't really have that sense of value about us. It's the way we were brought up, right? Our value comes from what other people think. And more importantly, it should be how we think about ourselves. And that's what I try and instill in my Monday to Fridays in What's My Good Cheer. And it's a little bit heavier, right? But that's why I come in on Sundays and we just try to keep it, we kind of just chit chat. We keep it light in our conversations, right? And we just try and have a good time. But it's really nice that you say that, Debbie. I really appreciate that. But now's the time. Spring is coming, right? So if you want to lose a few pounds or if you want to do something with your hair, right? I brought a little bit of spring into my hair this week, and I feel so much better for that. It's funny that I even say that because um, I think it was almost a year ago I decided that I wasn't going to color my hair anymore. I've been coloring my hair every 6 weeks since I was 16 years old, and so I quit coloring my hair, and I thought my hair would grow in gray, right? I thought it was going to grow in gray, and my hair grew in super dark. I was absolutely amazed because I've been right. I thought I was a blonde my entire life. I have no idea when my hair got really dark the way it was, and I'm not going to say that it was like super dark, but it was definitely a dirty blonde, and it didn't suit me very well. It did something to my emotions. And so about 3 or 4 months ago, I went back to dyeing my hair, and it did a lot for me emotionally. It made me feel really good. It's not like I need to feel young or anything, but I don't have to feel dark and dreary and actually look that way, because that's not good for my emotional well-being. So when I said that I colored my hair and brought a little bit of spring back into it, is because it cheered me up. It had nothing to do with me looking young or anything like that. It just brightened me up. That's all. It's just a lighter kind of look. And again, I can't say that it was because I looked older, because the fact is, if I had just let my hair grow out, because I had already stopped dyeing my hair, I think it was for 8 or 9 months or so, for quite a while. And my roots were like this long, but they were so dark. It just was, right? They didn't even come out gray. My hair wasn't even gray. It was just dark. And I went, oh my goodness. Well, if they're coming out dark anyway, I guess I can act my age. And so I went back to the blonde and the pink bangs. I actually had a conversation with somebody about my pink bangs. Oh, it was actually my optometrist, because when I was picking my frames are actually marbled pink and brown color, and they're really nice frames on my glasses. But he says, "Oh, it'll go really nice with your bangs." He says, "With your pink bangs, it'll suit your face really well." I want to go into rectangular frames, because I think I look much better in rectangular frames. But he said because of the coverage for my eyes, because of my prescription, it would be much better if I stayed in the same kind of look with my glasses. So I did. I took the same shape of glasses, just different frames in them. And make sure I got the springs on them, right? Not like these cheapy ones. I got nice springs on them so that I don't ruin my glasses. They're a little bit more durable that way. But the reason I'm talking about my bangs is because I was telling them, I says, I've always had colored bangs. Even as a teenager, I had colored bangs. Now, as a teenager, I used food coloring, right? that wasn't very good when you went to gym or it rained or anything outside, because it would just dribble down your face and stain your face too. But I did it anyway. But I've always colored my bangs, and the reason for that is because I am a highly sensitive, because I'm empathic, that people tend, and also because my sense of confidence was not up front. I kind of had that, beat on me kind of right. I had that target on my forehead that says treat me badly, and I've always had that sense about me. It was just the way that I grew up in my experiences, that I became a little bit um, submissive in my attitude. And people, they catch on to that. And when they don't feel good themselves, they'll pick on people like that, right? And so I was always kind of picked on. But then I found this trick of coloring my bangs, and I noticed right away that people weren't picking on me. It wasn't because I was cool or anything, because I had the pink bangs, but people stopped and they would think for a couple of minutes before they said anything nasty to me, before they did anything mean to me, because the pink bangs kind of made you unsure, because it's not the norm for somebody who has that target on them that says treat me badly, right? I'm submissive, right? I'm not going to do anything if you yell at me or call me names or anything. I'm going to turn the other cheek. And it would give people a couple of minutes to say, maybe I won't say anything mean to her. She looks like she's got a little bit of personality. And I told that story to my optometrist, right? When we were talking about my bangs and how they would go with my glasses and stuff. And I said, "Oh, you know how the bangs came out about in being pink?" And I've had purple bangs, I've had green bangs. I think I even had blue bangs. I've switched them up, but pink is my color. It has been pretty much my color for over a decade now. But it's just in that idea that, people need to be warned sometimes, right? Because when people don't feel good about themselves, they look for other people to treat badly. That's where discrimination comes from, right? When you're a different color, or you come from a different country or something, people pick on those people because it makes them feel better. Does that make sense? Yeah. So for my own understanding, I would just say, oh, well, let's do the pink bangs, and then people would just mind their own, and they would think twice about saying anything mean. And it helped me too, because I was that person who didn't always turn the other cheek. It would make it so I wouldn't have to have a comeback. I wouldn't have to give them a lesson, right? I wouldn't have to let them know what I thought of them, or what I thought what they were doing to me or doing to well, if they're doing it to somebody else, usually I will still step in, because I know that if I was that person getting picked on, that I would want somebody to step in for me. But when you're taking care of yourself, when you know nobody's coming to your rescue, you have to be creative, right? And that's how come you see, especially in this day and age, when you look at the kids in school and you see the uniqueness in them, and the way they wear the hair and the mohawks, or the way they have personalities and the clothes. And if you see the teenagers going to school in their pajama pants and stuff like this is the norm, right? But they're just expressing personality. Sometimes they'll be punk rockers or emus, or the goths, right? And then it makes them stand out. It makes them look like they have a little bit something extra. So it makes somebody who would normally treat that person badly again say, maybe I better not. They look like they have a little bit of personality, right? And it's also a way for somebody to express themselves, right? To say, hey, I'm somebody, I'm creative, I'm going to be the person that I'm going to be. And if you decide that you're going to pick on me, well, that's going to be on you, right? Like you can be a unique, everybody is unique, but we don't always express that. We usually dress the same as the next person, right? But I don't want to be walking in the same line as everybody else. I want to be able to be appreciated for the person that I am, right? And sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it gets us into trouble, but at the same time, it's a lesson for everybody, right? In that. And I believe that to be true. And I'm so grateful that I came up with that idea of dyeing my bangs. It has served me very, very well. And I now it's gotten to the point where I feel a little naked without a little bit of extra color going on in my hair, right? I remember I used to use the food coloring in high school because at that time they didn't have different colors of hair coloring. You could get brown hair, black hair, you could get blonde hair. That was pretty much it. Now you can get every color in the rainbow if you want to. And I remember I wear these great big diaper rings in my ears as earrings, and then I would hang a great big chain from one ear to the next ear until somebody would yank it off of me, and that would hurt really, really bad. And then I didn't do that anymore. But I remember being in gym class and just sweating away, and my face would be pink or purple or green. And I would just say, mess with me. Come on, what are you going to say to me, right? I think by the time I hit my senior years in high school, it was a lot better for me. By that time, I had found my own sense of belonging. And when I say belonging, I meant belonging to myself, right? That I had a persona that said, "Don't mess with me." And at that point, I was able to build a little bit of confidence for myself. But I credit it too to some teachers that took some interest in me. I credit it to my drama class, right? My drama class, and yeah, yeah, I did much better in my senior years than I did in years before that. Once I learned that, you if you're nice and if you can give people an opportunity to know you, and that was a big thing for me because I was the wallflowers, the one who always stood in the corner and was a spectator, and I just kind of watched and listened. And then once I actually got into the mix and got to realize not everybody was out to get me, then a little bit of myself would be able to come out. And then I got to realize that, there were people out there that did like me, right? That I was a likable person. And it got a lot easier for me it got very much easier for me after that. I built up a lot of confidence. I attribute that to drama class, but also again I give credit to the teachers who said, Cindy, you need to get into drama and that will help you out quite a bit. And it did help me out quite a bit. So I would say if you have kids in school or grandkids and they're having some difficulties, that if you can, right, maybe get them into the drama class, that would really help them. That would help to open them up to possibilities, right? Because lots of times we're our own limitations, right? Right, not everybody is out to get us, but sometimes we have those experiences in our lives that make us think that everybody is out to get us. Yeah, it served me really well. Uh, Cindy, you're reminding of the phrase hurt people 100%, Andrew. My guess is most people who pick on others have unhappy lives and homes. And that's the truth. And sometimes you can give a little bit of understanding to that, but you can't give that understanding at your own expense, right? If somebody's treating you badly and you know you're treating them badly because something happened in their own lives or they're miserable or something, there's no reason you can't call them on it, right? It doesn't mean you have to be mean and punch them in the nose or anything. You could just say, right, that wasn't very nice. Who do you think you are? Right? Like, how would you like somebody to do that to you? Right? Right? Do you know what kind of human being you're going to grow up to be? But lots of times we can't find that voice in ourselves. So what do? We turn the other cheek. And when we turn the other cheek, what does that do? That gives somebody the permission to go off and do that to somebody else. And I think that's a little bit of karma on us, right? But I did my fair share of turning the other cheek. And for that exact same reason, because you open up your mouth and then you get yourself in situations, right? and and sometimes it's just easier not to say anything, but then you got to think, right, who does that serve in the end? Because that person's just going to go off and just be mean to somebody else. And I would always think that, and I always never let anybody get away with doing something mean without at least being pointed out, like, was that necessary, right? uh, but my problem is when I'm witness, like I'm sitting there and I have to witness somebody else doing that to somebody. And then that's when I get agitated and triggered because it takes me back to my childhood, right? To my memories of when that was done to me and how I felt in that, where I felt nobody was going to come and rescue me, or nobody was going to stick up for me, or help me in a bad situation. And so I tend to get involved in situations where there is unkindnesses that I have to witness in, right? So I'm grateful I haven't had to jump into anything in decades. I don't think for decades. Well, I did have to jump in a little bit when my sister was with her husband, right? You guys know that story of my sister and how she married a narcissist, and he treated her very, very badly. And that's my family, and that's my love. Or, well, that's my love, but that's my family. And so it's important for me to stick up for my family. And as much as I'm my father's daughter, I was my mother's daughter, right? And my sister followed suit after my mother, so she's got a lot of my mother's trait, right? We didn't always rub each other perfectly, but she also has the biggest heart ever. And she has helped me through so many difficult situations. She has always been there for me, and we always are trying to do better by ourselves, right? And so I'd always get into a little bit of a tip with her husband because I didn't like the way that he talked to her, and that was kind of hard for me to stay out of that stay out of that mess. Yeah, for sure. And that was scary for her because sometimes, he was really, really mean, like loud and scary and almost physical, right? And you never wanted to go driving with him. I used to go driving because I didn't have a car at the time. That we would go out on adventures because that's one thing he did like to do. He liked to go on adventures, and I'd go on adventures with him just so I could get out of the house, or I could get video for my YouTube channel and stuff, and it was perfect. But I would have to cut out so much of it because he was just so mean. And the reason I say go on these road trips with him, these adventures with him, he was he was awful, like road rage awful. Like it was scary. Like he would jump out of his truck, like stop in the middle of the highway, jump out of his truck and cause issues and stuff. But for the most part, it was all this, right? All mouth and stuff. But every once in a while, he gets so stirred up, you never know if it was going to punch somebody in the nose. And I'm putting that kind of lightly. I'm glad she got out of that situation. Yeah, she's still here because she got herself out of that situation. She did that all by herself because me and her were going through a span too, right? Because again, like that idea, when you're sad and you're hurt, you bring people down to your level. And, right, hurt people, but sometimes hurt people just want you to hold their pain, right? They just want to give it all to you. And I did my very best in that. My sister was my everything, right? And so I wanted to do that for her, but there was only so much because I was being brought down too, right? And that was really, really hard. Yeah, it was a bad situation, but it's all over and done with, right? She's doing really, really good. We all have issues, but she's managing hers really, really, really well, and she is family. Um, during the 80s, I would use a product called Sun In to bleach my hair. I went from caramel blonde to really blonde. Oh, I can't imagine you blonde hair. I have these images of you guys. We've been together for so long. I have these images of what you look like just from how we talk and everything. But, when you say, oh, you were all blonde and stuff. But yeah, you colored your hair, Andrew. But guys do that too, right? And I bet you it looked really good too. I bet you it looked really good. And you're not technically bleaching your hair, it's just kind of a spray, and the sun bleaches it out, right? Yeah, interesting. Um, I always will defend somebody or anyone if they are being picked on or bullied, etc. I have done this throughout all the years of my life. Yeah. See, but very similar, Tammy. All the time, you surprise me by, you know, mirroring to me the things that I did. Yeah, that's really, it's a good trait. It shows your heart though, Tammy. It really does show your heart. Of course, you got to use your discernment because every once in a while you're gonna, right? You're going to say something to somebody who is going to be triggered in that, right? Just because I had the pink hair, if somebody was going to yell at me, they were going to yell at me. And if they yelled at me, well, you're going to trigger me, right? And in those days, I didn't have any lessons about emotions and having control over myself or have any sense of using mindset in my day to day. I didn't have any of those lessons, right? You yelled at me. You were taking me right back to my childhood with my mom, right? And I would just go into a blank kind of fear. And in that fear, I would defend myself in that. So, really, if you haven't done any of that work, they call it shadow work, right? If you haven't done any of that work to help you alleviate some of these childhood issues that we have that we're going to end up getting triggered, and if we don't use our discernment, we can get ourselves in a mess. Like, if you were the driver behind my brother-in-law, right? And he had that road rage and he jumped out of the truck and jumped on your hood, like that would be a scary situation for you. That would be a scary situation for everybody anyway. But that would be extremely, like, at that point, you're not going to jump out of the car and go at somebody who's in that kind of a fury, right? So it's about using that discernment when you get in those situations. Oh my goodness, we're getting late already. Let's go down to this one last comment here. I let my hair grow back out and I went from blonde to brown and now it's gray going white. I would love to have white hair. Yeah, it's still too dark. It's still too dark. I'm not sure if I'm even getting gray hairs yet. right? I said I was getting older and I stopped using the hair colors, and the gray hair is still really, really dark. So I'm just going to wait another couple of years and we'll try again. Yeah. Something that intrigues me is people who have been bullies in the past. Do they have regrets or remorse or shame, or do they even think about what they've done? That reminds me of that movie with Kevin Bacon. I can't remember the movie where he had to go back into his past because he was being haunted by a little girl, a little black girl, and it turned out that it was somebody he went to school with that he treated really, really badly, and he went and he apologized for treating that woman really, really bad. And then she said, my life turned out okay. I met the love of my life. I got to have babies. But she said she did remember that, and it did affect her in her life. But in the end, those happiness and those joys did end up coming into her life. And then after that, he never was struggling with being terrorized by this little girl who kept popping up in his reality, right? I can't remember the name. Like Scanners. Was it called Scanners? When they used the paddles on somebody and the person was technically dead, and then when they woke up, their greatest fears or their greatest emotional crimes became actual in their lives, and they had to go back in and make up. It's kind of like karma, right? Like making right your wrongs, and everybody should have that sense that if you've done something wrong in somebody's life, that you should be able to say I'm sorry or make amends for it in some way. I think in the 12-step program, they actually encourage you to do these things, right? Because as alcoholics, they do terrible things to people, and they steal money to get alcohol, and they say terrible things when they're drunk, or you know that you should find ways to make right your wrongs. And I think that's a good thing, right? I think that's a good thing. And sometimes you can't make up the wrongs to the person that you did wrong to, but you could kind of pass it forward to a stranger and do that kindness or that forgiveness act with somebody who doesn't even, right, know who you are. But in that generosity, right, you can make amends for your wrongs. Yeah, that's a good point, Andrew. That's a really good one. I like that. Okay, you guys, that's got to be it for tonight. That was Sunday. I don't think I'm going to have my new glasses next week. I might have my contacts. I might show up here in my contacts. We'll see about that. But the glasses will still be, they said it was going to take a couple of weeks because they got to make a special lens. But that's okay. It's done with. We're on top of the game again, you guys, right? Life is good, right? It's just about making a little bit of movement, making those little adjustments, getting caught up on some of those appointments so that we could all enjoy summer. Wouldn't that be amazing? Okay, you guys. Today and tomorrow, warm weather, cold temps, wind, rain, snow. Have a good week, whatever the weather. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Owen. Good night, everybody. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, William, for popping in, and all of you guys. And Debbie, it was nice to see Debbie come in tonight. You guys, have a great night, and we'll see you next Sunday. If you want to pop in and keep me company in the heavy topics during the week, keep company with Tammy. Tammy's been coming in and hanging out with me during the week. That would be absolutely amazing. If not, we'll see you next Sunday. Bye.